Hello. So, what about the government's latest message? Stay alert. What the hell does that mean? Stay alert. Well, it doesn't really mean an awful lot. I mean, it could mean drink more coffee than you normally drink. It could mean take some crystal meth or some methamphetamine sulfate. Or maybe, if you happen to have them, some Dexedrine. That'll keep you alert. That'll keep you wide awake. Anyway, it seems to me that the entire messaging from the government has actually been guided by the mythology of the Second World War and indeed the knowledge of previous terrorist incidents. These are the only types of emergency that seem to figure in the government's consciousness and indeed for much of the public too, because these themes are readily taken up uncritically by our media, especially the right-wing press, who have been calling for an end to the partial quarantine, also known as the lockdown, because that's what it is. It's a partial quarantine. A lockdown is actually a mechanism of control that's used in prisons just after a riot or a similar spell of disorder in a prison. Prisoners are locked in their cells for 23 to 24 hours a day. It's nothing like that, okay? You can go off for exercise, you can make essential trips to the doctor, to get food, or to go to the chemist. So it's not house arrest. General Pinochet was under house arrest. There's the difference. He wasn't allowed out. Sadly, he actually escaped trial, which was most unfortunate. But I digress, okay? So the other thing that I've noticed is this anthropomorphization of the virus, treating the virus as though it's actually a sentient being. Well, it isn't. There is some debate amongst virologists and microbiologists as to whether or not a virus is actually a living thing, because it doesn't actually have a cell structure, yeah? It's a genome, RNA, ribonucleic acid, or DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid, encased in something called a capsid, which is a protein shell. And around that protein shell is an envelope of lipids, a kind of fat that it actually takes from the host cell where it reproduces. It actually uses the cell's resources to reproduce because it doesn't have any energy or anything else of its own. So it is, in fact, parasitic. In any case, you can't reason with a virus. You can't invite it out for a cup of tea and maybe a slice of cake. You can't take it out to the cinema. You can't shoot it. You can't beat it up. You can't threaten it with physical violence. And this is the mistake that many people have made, especially in the media. Now, fairly recently, I had a very brief exchange with James Bloodworth on Twitter, who said something along the lines of, "We mustn't let the virus control us." Well, talk about dumb, yeah? He obviously doesn't understand what a virus is or what a virus does. It's not about letting the virus dictate terms to us, because viruses just don't do that, really. And that reminds me of a Vox Pop interview that I saw a couple of months ago with a woman in Cardiff who said something along the lines of, "Oh, we mustn't let it win." Well, that's the kind of stoicism that I'd expect if there was a terrorist threat in the offing. So, government messaging, it's very poor. And that's quite remarkable, really, from a party that claims to admire Tony Blair. Indeed, David Cameron and George Osborne referred to Tony Blair as the master because of his skill with public relations messages. It was all about the messages. Don't look past the messages because there's no substance there. That's the very essence of postmodern politics. All that matters is what's on the surface. Yeah, it is, I believe, as Frederick Jameson once said that postmodernism is like a set of beautiful curtains, but when you go to pull them back, there's nothing there but a blank wall. That's it for now.